Welcome to Go Big or Go Decom. I'm Cece Ciccone.
And I'm Kelsey Bowman,
And Kelsey, what do we watch this week?
the Cheetah Girls.
All right. Now, I have to say, I must have been heavily influenced because I was shopping for shoes today, and I've never in my life worn animal print. And I was like, oh, those like cheetah print, pointy toed flats look kind of cute.
Sassy.
I know. I didn't go with it. I decided my personality just is not matched.
Just isn't
Animal
you're not a
print.
cheetah, not cheetah-licious.
I looked at the zebra one, the zebra print, and I was like, no, 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 no. Too far,
It's a
too
little,
far.
it's just too much.
It was too much. So, do you have any history with the Cheetah Girls at all?
I definitely watched it.
Yeah.
I remember watching the second one when it premiered. Like I definitely enjoyed the Cheetah Girls. I can't remember
Yeah.
sitting and watching it, but there's no doubt in my mind I saw it
I
more
feel like they
than
made a
once.
a bigger deal for the second one. I don't know what that was
Hmm.
about, but I definitely remember the second one more. The only thing that I remember about the Cheetah Girls is that my little sister, she liked to dance growing up, like that was her thing.
Hmm.
And one summer she went to a Cheetah Girls camp where at the end they like performed all of the Cheetah Girls songs.
That is fun.
So
I
that's why it's
remember Disney used to play the audition scene with them singing Cinderella as like a music
yeah,
video.
right. Yeah, for sure. And it kind of see like that one, and I guess well, I felt like that one felt like Xenon. You know how they had like the pop group come?
That yeah. Just the way that they did the angles in those scenes, and there's some distortion. There's like clearly a filter on a lens. Like this was
Yes.
definitely filmed on film,
We have
not
to
digitally.
talk about the camera work as we go through this because there were so
The
many things that
amazing
were
camera
like
work.
MTV.
Yes, that's what it felt like. It was so I felt
MTV
like
original real world
yes, like
camera
an
work.
old music video because
Yeah.
it wasn't like today where you do filters and special effects is cheap. They put like a filter on the
Actually on the
lens
lens. Yeah. So
and they filmed it like we said on real
yeah, the
film
content
and
itself was distorted.
mhm.
Yeah, no, that was really interesting. Another thing I think, and remember, Cadet Kelly was full screen, not widescreen.
And this one was too.
This one was full screen, but remember Johnny Tsunami was widescreen.
I have no idea. And this yeah,
And
Johnny Tsunami was older
this
than both.
this
Came out in
seems bigger.
2003.
This seems bigger than Johnny Tsunami to me.
I don't know why it hasn't been formatted to fit our screen. So this came out in August of 2003.
Hmm.
That's So Raven premiered in January of 2003. And Raven Simone was already known before That's So Raven because she was on The Cosby Show. So she
Right.
did have some sort of a name before this came out. None of the other girls really did.
Yeah, and
Adrian,
Adrian Bylon was kind of made a little bit of a name for herself as an adult jumping around on some
mhm.
of the reality shows.
She hosted The Real, which was a talk show similar to The View, but all of the hosts of The Real are females of color. And
Was
so
that
she was a
MTV or
no, it was on a different
oh, it was
network
a
in the
network? Okay.
morning. And I mean, she won a daytime Emmy for it. And
I've
she was on that
definitely
for
seen
10
her.
years. She's done some correspondence work. She does a lot of personality stuff as opposed to
Yeah,
straight acting.
she's popped up definitely on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills at least a couple of times.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like she just has this face that's like super recognizable.
I agree.
But it's interesting when you read her acting where she actually didn't do that much outside
No.
of Cheetah Girls, which is kind of interesting. Yeah, Raven Simone, had her she's done a few things. She was actually on Broadway in Sister Act.
Oh, wow. I did not
When
realize.
Sister Act closed, yeah, which is a fantastic show. That's
And now
absolutely
she's doing
hilarious.
the That's So Raven reboot,
Right, Raven's Home. Is that
Raven's Home.
still happening? It's
I
still
think I think they're yeah, filming it or part of it premiered.
yeah,
It's definitely still going.
it's
Keely
super
Williams. So
interesting.
Keely Williams, who plays Aqua, was cast. Solange Knowles was supposed to be cast as Aqua, which makes sense.
Interesting.
Aqua's from Houston, so the Knowleses are from Houston. but Solange dropped out and they picked Keely. She and Adrian were already in a girl group together. So they
Interesting.
knew each other before. And then Keely and Sabrina Bryan, who plays Dorinda, became very good friends. And they're still very good friends to this day.
That's interesting.
And Sabrina actually just started a podcast with Will Friedle from Boy Meets World where they recap DComs.
That's incredible.
They
There are
started it
competition.
3 weeks ago, like their first. And they started with My Date with the President's Daughter, which we
Which is
classify as
not a
not a decom.
decom,
Yes,
but Will
exactly.
Friedle is in it.
Right, so they have to cover
But it's
that.
not a decom. It's not on
Not
the
a
list.
decom. Hashtag
It's
not a
not
decom.
even on the list of Disney movies before they were decoms. Like that is very
Correct.
clearly ABC's
It
Wide
pre
World of Disney.
it premiered on ABC during the like Friday night family night lineup or whatever they called it. So that was just fun little fact
We're never going to
that I
get this off
found.
the ground now.
I know, and they started after us. I was like, should I DM them? Should we do like a joint episode?
Do you guys want to come so that you can get listeners?
Right, exactly. Because
That's
he has a
amazing.
very successful recap podcast for Boy Meets World.
Yeah, he
So I guess
does.
he figured that would translate to DComs as well. So anyway, that was a fun fact. We can hop right into the plot now.
Wait a second.
Oh,
Whitney Houston produced this movie.
producer, amazing.
I feel
Whitney
like that's
Houston,
important.
amazing.
Yeah, so
She
we
produced a lot of stuff I've learned now as an
really.
adult. She produced Roger and Hammerstein's Cinderella with
Oh,
Brandy, and she was in it, right? She was the fairy
I
godmother.
don't know.
Um, R.I.P. to a legend, Whitney Houston.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, so we basically just introduced there's four teenagers. They are freshmen in high school.
Freshmen, all of the
Freshmen.
youngest one was 17. They were between 17 and 20 when they filmed it.
Yeah, so that's kind of something. So Galleria is Raven, Chanel is Adrian, Aqua, as we said, was Keely, and then Dorinda is Sabrina. And so we have
Mm-hmm.
these four girls. They are the Cheetah Girls. I mean, even when they're at lunch, people are
They're
like,
Cheetah-licious.
"Hey, Cheetah Girls."
Yeah, they are. It's very much part of their identity. They wear spots. It's something that they say about themselves in and out of the group. Galleria. I'm gonna call her Gabriella because of High School
I
Musical.
know it is. It's a little
Um,
bit tricky.
Galleria's room is covered in cheetah prints.
Yeah.
And these are girls who live in Manhattan. They go to what appears to be a performing arts high school.
I didn't note that in particular, but yeah, I mean, the big thing is the talent show. And
Right.
that's kind of what we're introduced.
Well,
That
it's called Manhattan Magnet, okay?
okay.
But Keely Williams, Aqua says that she has to go to her trig class at NYU. Now, I don't know why she would be taking trig at NYU when every high school in the country definitely offers trig, but she's taking trig at NYU.
But maybe not this
And
one. Or maybe she likes to sit down when she does math.
maybe she likes to sit. They don't do
And they
that at this
only
high
do
school.
that at NYU. Honestly, that this sounds like the sort of high school that Kelly went
that
to.
yeah, maybe it's the same. I think she was in middle school, but maybe it's the same one.
Yeah.
And but so to me, the magnet part seemed like it was a performing arts high school. Yes, they have a big talent show, and you get like to bring a demo to a record label or something if you win the talent show.
Yeah, which is pretty big. Pretty big
That's huge.
prize.
Like we didn't have a talent show at my high school, but you would have just gotten like a ribbon.
I performed in the talent show my sophomore year and my junior year.
What's your talent?
That was when I was in my magician era.
Oh, your
You know that
magician
about
era.
me, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so the thing, this is totally sidetracked. I promise I'll be fast. The thing about magic is that there's a difference between close-up magic and like staged magic.
So true.
And
You can't pull a quarter out of the whole audience's ear.
exactly. But I did a really I gotta say I did a really darn good job. And everyone was amazed. I like kind of both years I picked on like the male teacher that like the young male
Nice.
teacher that like everyone loved. Yeah, it was awesome. I loved it. I love doing magic.
Do you have
Um
a magician name?
no, I have a
Oh.
box. I have a box with my magic stuff.
Still with you?
It's like a shoebox, yeah. I mean, like
I love magic.
I got all this stuff, like the rings that you can make
Mm-hmm.
come together and go apart, and the stuff so that when I snap, smoke comes up,
What
and
stuff? That's magic.
yeah, right.
The
Um,
magic. These are just a box
you
full of
know,
magic.
I have like 20 different decks of cards that are manipulated in various ways.
I love magic. When I was in Vegas one time, I'll make this fast. We saw Chris Angel. He's a
Yeah,
magician.
yeah,
Um, I did not like his show at all. He cuts a woman in half. Classic.
right,
But that's not magic inherently, cutting people in half. That's
right.
just
You got to put them back together.
right. And he didn't put her back together. He just cut her in half, and the two sides went off the different parts of the stage. And I kept waiting for
That's
the part in
hilarious.
the show where he put the woman back together,
Like anyone
and
can
he
saw
never did.
someone in half.
That's what I was thinking the whole time. And at one point,
That's amazing.
it came back on stage, and her feet wiggled, and her like she waved her hand,
Yeah,
and so that was magic, yes. And then I thought this is when he puts the lady back together,
it never happened.
and he never put her back together. And
No,
we left it. I turned to my sister, and I was like, he knows that's not the magic, right? The magic was always putting her back together.
my mom loved to tell the story of one day after school we went like prom dress shopping or something, and I was in the dressing room and like took off my school uniform and like a bunch of quarters fell out. My mom was like, "Were you doing magic tricks at lunch?" I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
It was a fun time in my life. I don't know. I miss high school. We talked about though that I didn't really go to a real high school. So but anyway, what's really interesting is immediately you get the sense that these four girls have extremely different home lives.
Yes, and
Um
they're very close friends. They're not just
yeah.
in the Cheetah Girls as a group. Like this isn't like I don't know, I was in clubs
But
in high school, but I wasn't very close friends with everyone in them. They're very close friends. We see them perform a song. They're all wearing amazing outfits.
yeah. I will
And we
say I
see,
think Galleria and Chanel are like the closest
yes. And we
of
established that they've been friends for a very long time. Seems like Aqua and Dorinda are the newcomers. Maybe they met
right.
them like this year in high school.
Yeah. Yeah, so
They're
Gal
very girl power. They talk very young because they're leaving like a birthday party that they were singing at. They talk very young. This was written by a Black woman who also wrote for Sister Sister and Lizzie McGuire. So I think she did a great job of capturing that New York City youth. They talk fast and they use a lot of slang, but it's very
mhm.
interesting. Yeah, we see
Yeah, a little in
them
your
go home.
face. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Galleria has a Italian father. He's from Italy
Hmm.
and a Black American mother. So we
Yep.
immediately see that, she's biracial. She has this at home, which I thought that was great. They're married. They're very supportive.
Hmm.
They seem to
And you
be
get
very
the
good
sense they're
parents.
wealthy.
Yes,
They're quite
we do.
wealthy. Yeah.
She doesn't seem to want for anything.
Hmm.
Adrian or Chanel is being raised by a single mother who the assumption that seems to imply she used to be a model or something. There's a very large
Hmm.
photo of her hanging in their living
She
room.
seems to be Spanish from Spain. And I think
Yes.
that's the connection in the second movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because she's Spanish. Yeah, so she's a single mom, but she's dating a guy who lives in Paris, so that kind of creates this whole
Yes.
backstory.
She is a loving mother and she's currently absent. I thought it was great to mention to the parents because her mom makes mistakes, but is it's not like she's just not there. She's a loving mother.
Right. Well, and I think, when you're 14 years old, it's this weird time because I had the experience when I lived with my dad. I lived with my dad when I was 17 for like that year. And my dad just trusted me, and so he didn't feel the need to be around all the time because he was
Mm-hmm.
like, you're an adult. I don't need to take care of you. And so it's just also that time of growing up that like, is kind of awkward that I'm sure her mom like waited her whole life to be able
Right.
to,
Tell me about it.
go out on dates and stuff. And she's like, finally. Yeah, but her mom does love her, but her mom also is kind of talking about moving to Paris
Yes.
and what that would be like. So that's kind of subtly in the background. We don't know much about Aqua or Dorinda, and I have to say, we never find out about Aqua.
No.
and her home life, which is very odd to me.
She
Like,
recently moved here from Houston. That's all we know.
so that was
She
just,
also seems to be very well off, though. She takes cabs everywhere. She doesn't take the subway. So you have to
yeah,
have a
but
decent amount of
it's
pocket money for
just,
that.
it stands out because, like, if they never showed Dorinda's home life, like, I think that would be fine. But the problem is that they do end up talking about Dorinda's home life, and we never get Aqua, and just kind of stands out, you
Yeah,
know,
it's true.
that like why, even in passing, like why don't they show her home, like her mom walking by when she's on the phone or something like that? Like
Right.
they really don't show anything. So anyway, we never find out about her, and that was kind of something that I was waiting for. I have to say, um, because after the birthday party, yeah, Galleria goes home, Chanel goes home, and Dorinda goes to work. We find out that she's
Hmm.
the one of the four that has a job. And I have
Yes.
to say, that's always like, I
She
guess,
gets credit where she works for dance lessons. So
yeah,
she's not necessarily bringing home pocket money, but she's working in exchange for dance lessons. She is primarily a dancer.
yeah, right. That's her thing. So, um,
So we're at school the next day and we're at lunch and we're chatting about our talent show audition.
mhm.
Um, and then boys come up. We introduce our board characters. I don't know either of their names. Uh,
I don't know if they actually gave them names. Really, I mean, the whole focus is on these four girls.
yes, which I thought a super great girl power movie, growl
Yeah.
power, as they say. And
So they
and
auditioned for the talent show.
they look amazing. They're all in white with
Yeah,
cheetah, and they're in different outfits, but it's all matching. It's very Destiny's Child,
right,
very early Destiny's Child. I loved it. I will say Galleria and Chanel's mom have both snuck into the audition.
right.
So we
To
see that Chanel's mom is there. She took the time to sneak into this audition, but she is just a little more absent. Like we said, there are growing pains to being 14 years old.
Right. She's starting to have a life of her own, separate from
Mhm.
her child, which is very
And
good and healthy.
yeah, exactly. And the girls do amazing. I don't know, they all look so cute. I did feel like in this outfit, they dressed Raven Simone like she was bigger than the other girls.
Well, that's kind of the whole tension that runs the whole movie is that,
I mean, physically bigger.
oh.
Which she's not. I mean, she is technically physically bigger than the other girls, but she's not like overweight. And also, like, it shouldn't matter. It's Disney, so they're keeping them all pretty conservatively dressed no matter what. I just felt that
Right.
way in this and a couple other outfits. But that was also a very early 2000s thing, was if you didn't weigh like 110 pounds, it was not good enough.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that was very much in that era of like, oh, I can't wear that because of the shape of my body. Like
Right.
that was,
Which,
which is not where we're at now. Now we're like, if you're comfortable in it and you feel good about yourself, more power to
yes,
you. But that was
we are.
not in 2003. It was very much girls with this kind of body can wear these kinds of clothes.
Right.
Um,
As
so
have we talked about America's Next Top Model before, as displayed by
we have
America's Next
not.
Top Model?
I know. I saw a clip from probably around 2003 of this girl that walks in, like very normal looking girl. And they say, it's interesting that you're here as a plus size model. And you're
No,
like, look, right. It's so, and I mean, I'm glad that we have come farther. Like,
and we
I'm,
still have ways to go, but
we
yes, I'm
do.
glad we've come farther.
But I'm glad that like 95% of people can see that now and be like, that's messed up.
I watched America's Next Top Model, I mean, probably starting when I was 9. And
Right.
I watched the new episodes, I watched it every week. And now I look at it and it's like, I'm not going to blame, I don't think this was bad parenting or anything on my parents' part,
Hmm.
because it's just how everything was then. It was
Yeah.
considered a pretty decent show. There wasn't a lot of cursing. It was just a reality show. There wasn't a lot of
Right.
inappropriate behavior.
Yeah, Tim Gunn was funny or no, that was Project One Runway.
Yeah, that was
Sorry.
Project Runway. But Tyra was there. Tyra was considered
I
pretty
I never
wholesome.
watched America's Next Top Model. I did watch Project Runway, but that was different because that was
I
focused.
watched, yeah, I watched
Yeah.
both. And now I'm like, I would not let my 9-year-old daughter watch that. I don't think it's
No, well,
so much focus on. obviously your body the entire time. And like you said, these women are considered overweight. We are getting off on all kinds of tangents today. We need to
Yeah.
stick to
Well,
the.
Leah, well, I think it is important because, like you noted, bigger girls were dressed differently, and we see that with Casey Stroh too in High School Musical. But yeah,
So true.
I think Leah Darrow was a Catholic who was on America's Next Top Model, and she ended up having this big conversion. But in her book, she says that they would refer to the models as hangers. So like the designer would be like, "Okay, where's my next hanger?" And he was talking about a grown woman. Yeah, pretty bad stuff.
Yep.
So and that world is still intense. That world, the ballet world, all of that is still really intense.
Yes. So I have been very into smock clothing for my daughter, which I'm from the South, so it's a very big thing in the South. So I've been buying it, a lot of it resale because a lot of
hmm
people only wear them once or twice. So I buy them on resale Facebook groups, it's cheaper, and then I can buy more. So I
hmm
don't really save any money. And but the amount of them with ballet shoes, ballerina pictures on them,
hmm
because it's considered so girly and feminine
hmm
and pink. And it makes, I don't love the idea of putting ballet stuff on my daughter because there's such an association with thinness
Yeah.
to being a
Oh
ballerina.
yeah. Oh my
And
gosh.
I'm like,
Like I
of
said,
course, my
it's
daughter's chunky. She's 10 months old. She's not supposed to be thin. And I
yeah.
know people aren't thinking, you don't think I want her to be a ballerina because I want her to be thin. What you think is I want her to be like beautiful and graceful, and I associate that with my daughter. But what you're
hmm
thinking in your head is like thin is beautiful and thin is graceful.
Right.
It's just there's such a bigger conversation. But I'm reading Fat Talk currently by
So
this is very much
it's on your
by
brain.
yeah, by Virginia Soul Smith. It's so good. I'm about halfway through. I would recommend it to anyone in general, especially if you have children, and especially if it's not just about women and fat talk, but obviously we see that it pertains more to women
hmm
in our culture than men, especially someone who has a female child, because it's just so thought provoking and it's so well
Yeah.
done. It's so research based. I'm so obsessed
Well,
with
it's
it.
just like I remember the first time, which was well after 2003. It was probably 2008 or so, when like Dove had a commercial with like slightly bigger women, like with women who had
And
curves.
it was
Like, and it was such a big deal. So I do think it's good to talk about that, especially in a movie where looks are highlighted, so are made
mm-hmm.
such a big deal. But we can jump back into
So
the plot.
Jackal Johnson, who
Yes,
is a music producer, hops over to the auditions because he went to this high school, which also made me think it was performing arts high
that's
school.
fair.
He went to this high school. He knows
Spiky, spiky, spiky hair.
Spikey. He is just such an early 2000s. He's in like these track suits and like a tank top,
Yeah.
spiky blonde
Oh
hair.
my
Those
gosh.
his sunglasses are like the very light blue frames.
Do you remember
Awful.
Big Fat Liar with
Of
Frankie
course I remember.
Muniz?
I was in
That's
love
what
with
he
Frankie
reminded me of. I
Muniz.
know.
Another
Okay.
DCOM alum.
Yeah, yeah. What he was in Miracle in Lane 2, which I'm sure we'll
Yes.
get to eventually.
Yeah.
So,
We'll get to
yeah.
them all eventually.
April
So he shows
2026.
up. He knows Drinka, who is the, I guess, drama teacher. She's very drama
She's in
teacher
charge of the
coded.
talent show.
And she's like, this is my most favorite student. You're my favorite. She calls him Jackal Johnson, which makes me think Jackal is his legal name. I wrote that down. Is Jackal his legal name? That's
Amazing.
bananas. And he said the Jackal keeps it real. He talks about himself in the third person. I hate him. I hated him from the he's our villain. It's pretty obvious, the
Yeah,
antagonist.
yeah. So he's there, and Gallery is all over this. She is like,
She wants
this
to
is
be
our big
famous.
break.
She
So
wants the
she's
Cheetah Girls
like,
to be
she
world
introduces
famous.
herself as the main songwriter, and the other three girls are kind of like looking at each other, like, why is she, coming out on top? And that's
Mm-hmm.
that's a big point throughout the movie, is that Galleria kind of sees herself as like the Mick Jagger, the
Yes.
lead singer, the lead person in the group. Um, so Jacqueline invites them to stop by. and to have a meeting at the record company, which they're kind of like
Yes.
even
And
before the talent show.
the moms swoop in and they're like, I don't know if we need to do this meeting and all this
Hmm.
stuff. And then he gives Galleria his card and says, like, call me when your mom isn't around. And that is a horrifying red flag.
Inappropriate.
And
Yeah,
should not talk to minors without their parents around. It is not
absolutely.
an okay thing to do.
And you know, it's interesting because Galleria's mom, which I can't even remember her name. I know
I don't
they
remember.
say it several times. But
Dorothea.
Dorothea, she's kind of like, you know, I don't want you to get famous right now. I want you to do school and to go to college, and like I don't want you to be famous.
Which is fair, which again, we've discussed child stars on this podcast. So fair.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Which is just kind of interesting that, you know, she because I feel like in other instances, like decom moms would be like, ah, yeah.
Dorothea is a loving mom who's never like we see multifaceted parents, which I loved.
Mhm.
And then casually, Juanita, who is Chanel's mom,
Chanel's.
is
Mhm.
like, we might move to France with Luke.
Yeah. So so the
Not the
Cheetah
way to
Girls
approach an
the
intercontinental move.
Cheetah Girls are in crisis. Um
So we do agree to go to the meeting the next day. Galleria's mom comes with Dorothea. No other moms come. I would have been there. I can tell you that much if I
it
was the
seems like the
mom.
other moms trust her. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true too. And her mom says they're in the cab there and there's really bad traffic. It's New York, so really bad traffic. They're stuck in traffic. And her mom's like, you have to wear comfortable shoes and keep your heels in your purse. And I think about that all the time. That was such great advice. I've used it
Yeah.
previously in my life, and I've thought about that scene in Cheetah Girls. This has clearly had a lasting impression on me.
Really, you
Like we went
remember
to
that.
college in DC, yeah.
Yeah,
And
no,
I'm
it's
like,
great advice.
you walk all over the place in DC, and I would wear like little flats and then put my
Yeah.
heels in my purse and switch it out. Done it a bunch of times.
Yeah.
But anyway, so
I actually do it all the time here when snow's on the ground. You know,
mm,
you wear your boots and you keep your nice shoes in your purse. Yeah, that's fine.
so true. So
So they go to the meeting. They,
and
yeah,
it
they
goes
go,
well. Well, this is where we see Galleria's first instance of like a slight to her friends. She steps in dog poop on the way there, and Chanel helps her clean it off, and she's not super grateful to Chanel. She did say thank you. She did say like you're the real one, but she did walk away very quickly. At this point, I felt like is Galleria in the wrong? She will be later for sure.
yeah,
This point, I felt like is she this meeting goes well. He
yeah.
wants to record a demo with them. We're gonna come back and record the demo next week. We go back to school. The news is all over school already. The newspaper
Like,
wants to
hey,
talk to
Cheetah
them.
Girls.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
boys are talking to them again. The boys are clearly a little jealous.
They have their own like music crew.
Right, because
The boys
we
do.
learned he's one is a DJ and one is a rapper.
Amazing.
And he's a great
Amazing.
guitarist. He was a way better guitarist than rapper. I don't know why he was rapping at the talent show.
Amazing 2003 talent.
Oh,
Yeah.
I know. And so yeah, we take the cab home with mom. She says, I don't know. Galleria, they were supposed to go back. Galleria wants to go back without her mother.
Yeah.
Her mom wants to go.
And did
And
they record a single while they were there? Was that what happened?
they'd recorded a single already.
Okay. So they already
Maybe.
had the single. Because Galleria shows the single and she had made a cover for the
We
single.
record the single the next time,
Got it. Okay.
which I guess the mom is there again, I think. I don't remember. And now there's some cheetah hate at school. Cheetahs are getting too big. Galleria's going a little much. Galleria's like, we're not doing the talent show
Right, because we have to record.
because we have to record, which frankly is kind of again at this point I was like, I mean, she was mean to Drinka because she was like, you had your shot and you kind of washed up. That was mean.
Yeah.
But not doing the talent show in my mind made sense. The point of the talent show is to get a record deal. They're
And they
literally
already had
talking
the
to
record
a
deal.
music producer. Sorry, I'd be fine with it. I realized that they auditioned for the talent show, but it would be fine.
Yeah.
And so at the talent show rehearsal, she's mean. She's mean to Dorinda. She tells her not to dress like she does anymore. I will say she is mean at this point. and
Yeah.
she is rude. And people are like, people don't like her. She's full of herself. There is a, especially in the early 2000s, the ideal woman, which is the ideal that at like the end of movies, all of our female characters are working towards, is humble.
Right.
And she is very gracious, and she never says I earned this. And this is still something that's seen in the Barbie movie. We see
Hmm.
them hand out Nobel Peace Prize, and the Barbies who win say, thank you, I worked very hard, I deserve this. And in theaters, that was surprising to me because
Mm.
I had not seen, and I'm a grown woman, a woman just accept an award and say, thank you, I deserve this, I worked very hard.
Yeah.
And so there is this, and I think like you deserve to say that if you're, I realize that they're Barbies. If you're a Barbie who's winning the Nope, I realize they're not real. The Nobel Peace Prize in physics, I'm assuming you worked really hard in physics and you did deserve that. The other Barbies who also did not win probably deserved it too, but that doesn't mean you don't deserve it.
Yeah, well, it's this ongoing thing that I've experienced. Man, we're going on lots of tangents today. But
I know, but they're all really important. It feels
they
like I have
are
a lot of feelings about the Cheetah Girls.
there was this Rachel Hollis. Are you familiar with her at all? She wrote the
I
book
am.
Girl Wash Your Face,
Mm-hmm.
Girl Stop Apologizing, I think.
Yeah.
She got in trouble because she made a TikTok video where um she said something about like the woman who cleans her house or something like that. And in it, and then like people were like, "You're not treating her like a real person." So then she did a follow-up video where she was like, "You have no idea how hard I work. Like I wake up early every morning, like girl boss, girl boss, girl boss. Like anyone can do what I do if they just worked hard enough." And then everyone was kind of like, "Do you think you're the woman who cleans your house and probably has three other jobs, does not work as
Doesn't
hard
work
as you?
hard. Mm-hmm.
And do you think that if only she worked as hard as you, that she would have as much money as you? Because she's probably an immigrant with little education, with little social
Mm-hmm.
supports, like all those things."
Especially little education in English, which is the primary
Correct.
language in America.
And so, like, but it really started what I think is now an important ongoing conversation about how, like, pulling yourself up by your bootstraps is not enough. You know, like
It's true.
everyone is working really, really hard.
Don't ask Kim Kardashian. And
Like,
that was the problem with the Kim Kardashian thing. She said, feels
right.
like nobody wants to work anymore. And she's thinking, like, we all have the same 24 hours in a day. But at the end
Mhm.
of the day, Kim Kardashian and I do not have the same, and I don't have the
Right.
same 24 hours as someone with less. I realize that I have privilege, but
Right.
someone with less, like Kim Kardashian has full time nannies
Hmm.
and housekeepers and a chef,
And
and
people who
I
drive her
don't.
places so that she can work on her phone while she goes
And she has
places.
a private plane. If I have to fly, I like don't go places to do things because
Right.
if I have to fly somewhere, well, I have to bring my children with me most of the time, or I have to figure out if anyone else can watch them, which is not just I can't afford to just pay someone to watch them for a week, and I
Yeah.
don't live as close to family as she does.
Right.
And she flies on a private jet that she can sleep on, and she can do
Right.
all this work on, and she can bring her assistants with her and her makeup artists and all this stuff. So yeah, it is true that there is, I think, a fine line though between that we want women to constantly be humble, but then also
Hmm.
acknowledging your privilege.
And that's kind of where we stand with Galleria. So
Yes.
Galleria has loving parents who are together, who support her. Chanel has is raised by a single mom who's having her own life. So,
Both are
there's
still financially stable and
they're
we
very
would say
financially
well
stable.
off.
Still don't know about Aqua.
Her dad
um,
moved from Houston to work in New York and she takes cabs everywhere.
so she's probably okay.
Yeah,
Um, but Dorinda, there's this big question mark about what her home life is like.
it's true.
Um, Galleria's mom asked, and she's like, I don't really know. I know she
Yeah,
has a
we're
little
like, we know she has a
sister.
little sister, exactly.
And yeah, so we find out that at the dance company she's invited to like be a part of a certain crew that pays money. This is Dorinda.
And and
And
she
she's
and go on tour for 10 weeks alone, which I thought not a chance my 14-year-old's going on tour for 10 weeks alone with dance crew. But that's a different.
but she's excited, but also knows that her future in the Cheetah Girls because of that is kind of up in the air. So, um, yeah.
Oh,
I
sorry.
think
I got my notes mixed up, and I was
that's
just
okay.
looking at my notes from
Well,
last week. I was like, when did they have a fight? But that was the fight last week.
that was the fight
Different.
last week.
Yep.
So, Chanel, who is played by Adrienne Bailon, she comes home. Someone calls and it goes to voicemail saying, like, "Are you ready to put your
To sell your
apartment up
house.
for sale?" And she kind
Right.
of answers angrily and is like, "No, we're never selling." And then when she hangs up the phone, she finds her mom's credit card.
Her mom, they were supposed to go on a shopping trip. Her mom canceled to go on a date with Luke, the French guy, and left the credit card and said, "Oh, go shopping without me."
And she's
And so
like,
she
"I'm
says,
gonna do some damage."
and we learn she does. So we see her,
She
she's
does.
trotting around, she's buying stuff. We see the
Okay.
old style credit
I was
card
gonna say this
swiper.
was hilarious. Like it wasn't the electric one, it was the one that just did the impression of like the
Yes, and
raised
you
numbers, which is so funny. I
so
was
funny.
somewhere that that it was just like a pop-up shop and they wanted to run it like that. My credit card doesn't even have raised numbers anymore.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
just printed on it. Yeah, it was
That's so
goofy.
funny.
So yeah, she does that and she finds this vest and she's like, "This is perfect for
Yeah.
Dorinda."
So she thinks I'll bring it to Dorinda and I'll apologize for how Galleria was acting because Galleria specifically brought up Dorinda's clothing.
Right.
She goes to the apartment building they've dropped Dorinda off at before, and
Hmm.
she tells the doorman, "Oh, I'm here for the Thomases or whatever her last name is." He said there isn't one here. She
Yeah.
says, "No." Dorinda describes her, and he says, "Oh, the super's apartment around the back." And
Mhm.
she's confused, but she goes around the back because Dorinda has heavily implied that she lives inside. She's gone so far as to walk up the steps and then turn around when no one is looking, go around Super's apartment.
Yeah. She's very much been trying to not let people know about
So Chanel is
her
not
her
upset.
home
She's
life.
just confused.
Right.
And
She's like,
then
"Oh,
a black woman answers the door, and Dorinda
hmm
is white.
right."
At least we think she's white. So then she says, "Dorinda, I don't know why you didn't tell us that your mom is black. Like, we don't care.
Hmm.
Like, look at like she's like, I'm a bunch of different like
Hmm.
you know Hispanic
Yeah, for
ethnicities
the for the most part, race does not play a part in this
and,
movie.
mhm.
You
And
know,
then Dorinda says, "I'm not black. I'm white. I actually don't know what I am. I'm a foster kid, and I don't know
and
my
her mom
parents."
didn't want her. Yeah.
Right. My mom did not want me, and I've been in the foster system. This is a foster family. I live here with 10 other kids, which
Hmm.
might be, we don't know if that's an exaggeration or not. There's definitely several other kids. We see her younger sister, and we hear other children in the
I didn't
background.
think that the number 10 was an exaggeration. I thought she
Oh,
was
okay.
literally saying, yeah, that there were 10
And she
other
says,
kids.
"We only live in this really nice building, this really nice neighborhood, because my
Her
foster father
husband.
is the
Yeah.
super." Hmm.
And
But
so, yeah, and I mean, Chanel's very much like, "We don't care, we love you."
right, Chanel's like, "We don't care." So then we go to a little slumber
But hold on,
party.
can
Oh,
we dwell on that for a second? This girl is a foster child with 10 other kids and like is very well adjusted socially
she
and
is.
like,
She's an
has this
amazing
whole life.
dancer.
Yeah, the whole thing with she gets the dance lessons and yeah, it's just she's kind of incredible. Um yeah, but and you can understand why. I went to a school with girls who were like I grew up not wanting for anything. My dad's a doctor. But I went to school with girls who were like rich, 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 rich.
Same. I Both my parents were lawyers. I'm one of three. We all went to private school, so there were definitely times where we like. I mean, I couldn't have. I don't know. Yeah. I didn't want for anything. I was never
Yeah.
like, oh, we can't afford this $40 thing.
Right. We
If
we
I
went
wanted
for
to do
vacation.
extracurriculars,
We had
it was
vacations
never a
every
question.
year. Yeah, did extracurriculars, lived in
Exactly.
a very nice home. Um and yet like some of those times when like these girls were like just talked about like their lifestyle that was just so different from
Hmm.
mine.
Right.
And like, yeah, there's just this sense of like, I don't know, embarrassment and shame and like
Yeah.
whatnot. And so I
Well, and
cannot even imagine on this other level, you
the
know,
school I went to had girls who, there were some girls who who lived in a group home who went to my high school. They got like
wow.
vouchers from the state.
Yeah.
And then there were girls who, I mean, one of the girls in my grade's dad is the CEO of a Fortune 500 company. So like
Yeah,
just
just
shows
that
you the huge
wild
change.
difference. Yeah.
And so yeah, you could see some things like this in where I went to
Hmm.
school, although this is probably why I'm like, I like uniforms in high school because that sense everyone's just wearing the same
Sure.
clothes.
Sure.
But yeah, and so to see how other people, like I knew girls who got brand new Mustangs when they turned 16, brand new
Hmm.
Beetles, and like I did get a car when I turned 16, but it was like a 10-year-old Focus. So it was still like I was aware
Hmm.
I got a car and other people didn't, but also that
Yeah.
other people got much nicer things than me. So there
Right.
is, you can see a difference there.
Yeah. It's
I don't know.
interesting. I saw a study recently that everyone thinks they're middle class. That's just kind of how our
Mm,
brain understands, you know. We don't see ourselves as being particularly wealthy or particular. I mean, I should say I would assume the difference is the extreme poor do not think that they are
they're right.
a
And the
middle
extreme
class.
rich. And
Um,
there is some sort of a shame around feeling like you're that. Like I read an article in the New York Times about a family that was like, I take the like tag off of my bread so that my housekeeper doesn't know I buy like $10 loaves of bread
yeah,
and things like
right.
that because they're, but also there's, I think, more of an inherent shame around because it's like, oh no, they're gonna find out I'm have so much money. But if when you're like, oh no, they're gonna find out for her, I'm a foster kid, I have nothing, she's thinking, are they even gonna want me to be
Yeah,
a cheetah girl anymore? Are they even gonna want to
because
hang
the
out?
cheetah girl image is so associated with, you know,
Just be in the
like an
best, quote
envious
unquote, the best.
lifestyle. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's all okay. And they end up having another meeting with Jackal
Mm-hmm.
Johnson. They perform a very cute little number. Do you remember what that one was called?
Girl power,
Yeah,
girl
Girl
power,
Power.
it's
Yeah,
girl
yeah,
power.
yeah. That's
They do
good.
awesome. Jackal Johnson has different ideas though.
He
I will
does.
say we have a sleepover the night before this meeting between Galleria and Chanel,
Hmm.
and they both have their hair in French braids, which is a protective hairstyle. And Galleria is wearing like she's not wearing a full bonnet, but she does have like a scarf over her head, which I
Hmm.
thought that was great to see some protective hairstyles at night
Yeah.
for these girls. And because they are both women of color.
Yeah. And
And
then the next day they go to this meeting. They perform very
without
cute.
our parents,
Yeah, no parents,
Galleria's mom agrees not to go. I didn't approve, but she's doing her best.
but they do the girl power thing. And again, the camera angle is like, if you can imagine the camera person just like turning left and right constantly
Mm-hmm.
and going on a little bit crooked.
Yeah.
That was what the camera work was like on that.
And back then we ate it up. We said,
Yeah.
like,
This is the future.
this is amazing. Yeah, this is the coolness.
Yeah.
And Jackal wants them to not be the Cheetah Girls. Their
Right.
marketing, he brings out his marketing team. The marketing woman says, the middle-aged white marketing woman says, and I quote, the children of this country love your bouncy, up-tempo, pop urban sensibility, which I thought was just like a hilarious line to hear from her.
They did a focus group.
Exactly.
And he comes out and he says, "You know what? We want you to be like this global sensation, like very, like multicultural. And so, in order to do that, we don't want to see your faces because, first of all, these girls are multicultural.
They already are, right?
You have Raven, who's like a lighter skinned black woman. You have Keely or Aqua, who's a dark skinned black woman. You have Adrian, who's European Spanish, and then obviously we don't know Dorinda's backstory, but like they are. And
We already have this, but he wants them to wear masks. Not he
animal
wants to wear
masks.
animal masks. He says you'll always be a cheetah. Galleria gives her a cheetah, and then he's like playing with who gets these masks, and it's like
Like
your
who's
masks are
gonna be the
awful,
panda?
right? None of them. You picked the one ethnicity. None of them are. None of them should be the
None of them
panda.
are Chinese. Yeah, so and in addition to that, Galleria brings up she's like, we can't sing in these masks because obviously there's like a little bit of a reverberation that takes place. And that's when Jackal reveals that they're going to lip sync, which
Mm-hmm.
in 2003 was like the one thing you didn't
Nope,
want to
you're
do.
not
Like
allowed to
like
do.
now in 2024, we appreciate like we expect that at the Macy's Day Parade they're going to be lip syncing. We
Right.
expect at the Super Bowl that they're going to be lip syncing. Like we expect it. In 2003, it was like
It was
front page
no. Do you remember
story
Ashley Simpson lip syncing on
on
SNL?
SNL.
Like I'll never forget.
That was exactly
Yes.
what I was thinking about. And because it was just this like
And that soon after that, Avril Lavigne was on tour. My sister went to the concert with
mhm,
a friend, and she said it was weird. She like sneezed at one point and stopped the song and started over. And my dad said, "Oh, do you know why she did that? Because she wanted to make sure everyone knew she wasn't lip syncing."
wow, yeah.
So she wasn't like directly saying it, but she was going out of her way. Yeah. And now we're like, okay, if Britney at her Vegas residency, which she obviously
Well,
doesn't have anymore, like if she's dancing around and she's doing flippities and she's coming down from the air, like I don't care if Britney's lip
did
syncing.
did you watch the Super Bowl halftime show?
No,
Um,
sorry.
ah,
Contribute.
it
You
was
okay?
Usher and
Alicia Keys.
thank you. Alicia Keys, her first note was like a sour note. Like it was kind of screechy. She was in the dark, like you didn't know who it was when she sang the first note,
Mm.
but it came out as a sour note. It was very obviously a mistake. Um, and then she went on and it was incredible. But like I was so surprised that she was actually singing, you know,
Yeah.
because I don't think Usher was saying like and that's because we more look at people for their showmanship now. I feel like we want the dancing, we want the fireworks, we want the
Yeah.
we want to be entertained, we want to be able to dance with them. That for someone to actually be singing is a pretty big deal. In 2003 that was not the case, so all of the girls were like, we are never going to be lip syncing. We can't do that.
And
um
Galleria says, and he plays them a song he wants them to sing. It's not a great, it just kind of sounds like a Coco Melon song.
yeah, it's
I'm gonna
kind of
be
like
honest.
boppy child.
And Galleria says, no, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
And this is a situation where I think no one was wrong.
Mhm.
Galleria says, no, this is not how I want to become famous. This isn't how I want to do it. The other girls say, you don't want it to be your way. We want to do this. We want to be singers. We want to be famous, which I say, there's nothing wrong in them agreeing to this.
Mhm.
And there's nothing wrong in Galleria not agreeing to this.
Sure. I think
Which is
that's
maybe
fair.
like a parent should have been here. So this is a situation where I think it's fine that they disagreed.
Hmm.
But so Galleria leaves, and the girls say, this is a lot for today. Can we think on it? And
Hmm.
as they leave, um, we see a like line of other girls in the hallway. So basically it's like a irreplaceable
Right.
idea,
We'll just give this to the next person.
which helps
Yeah.
because you're wearing masks.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is that it could be anybody. Like the DJ Marshmallow. Like I don't know who he is. Like he could be anybody just with the hat.
DJ
Mhm.
Marshmallow, I understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Galleria and Chanel both cry to their moms, and they both have good conversations. Galleria's mom says, like, I didn't want you to get your dreams crushed. It's kind of why I didn't want you to do this. And
Right.
Chanel's mom, they talk about how she hasn't been around, and I thought those were really great scenes.
Hmm.
We got some clarity there on those issues, and they both like they're sad. They're realizing again, and then just because no one was wrong in that situation doesn't mean your feelings can't be hurt about the whole thing.
Oh yeah, of course.
But
Yeah,
they're in a
just
fight.
because you had different ideas of what was going to work out. Yeah, I think you
So
experience that
they're
all the time.
in a fight about it, and then Toto, our beloved Bichon Friche, which is not a salad dressing, as Raven Simone reminds us, falls in a hole. And
Yeah,
that's this
Gallery is
is
like, you know what? Because her parents earlier in the movie had kind of gotten on her about not walking the dog so much. So she's
mm-hmm.
like, I'm gonna walk the dog, but she gets distracted. Let's go the leash.
Yeah, she says, "Oh, I'll take him to the talent show. The talent show's going on." She's like, "Oh, I'm going to support Drinko," which she was mean to Drinko earlier, so that's
Yeah.
good. Some character
Which
development.
is my nightmare with my dogs. There was one time that Rocco, literally the same thing happened, where I had the leash in my hand and I was picking up his business and just kind of got caught off balance and let go of the leash. And Rocco starts running towards the dog park, which is, I don't know, maybe 3 blocks away at this point. But he's running across like a major road. And like
Oh
in
no.
my mind, I just see him get hit by a car.
Yeah,
Like
so
that's
scary.
just and I was very fortunate that he did not. He made it to the dog park. Someone, you know, saw him a dog running with a leash attached to him and got him. But yeah. Oh. So Toto gets in a hole. It becomes like a big local news story. It's
Becomes
like
a ridiculous. He's causing traffic jam for I can't tell why because
they call
the
it
hole was
Toto
already blocked
Watch.
off. They're on Toto watch. She tells the police officer like, "I need help. My dog fell in a hole." And the police officer's like, "Dog in a hole? That's bad." He like gets on the radio. He's like, "I'm gonna call for backup. There's a dog in a hole." It was just like, this is where the movie becomes a little nonsensical. This is where they lost me. It was really good. It was really really good, and the dog fell in the hole. But I
And
was like,
so none of the girls were planning on participating in the talent show because they had all their other stuff going on. So Chanel is getting her toes done with her mom, and they see on the TV like that
mm-hmm.
Toto's in the hole, and so they immediately like leave the salon.
They run to Toto. Aqua comes and Dorinda comes. We're all in amazing matching sweatsuits that are they're all cheetah spotted, but they're each have their own color again, and they're just
Yeah,
magically all
very much
wearing
like
them.
Juicy Couture, like
Mm-hmm.
velour
Yeah,
sweatsuits.
match, but then like still matching girl group. We have our own color, but it was so good.
Yeah, they were coordinated and they had headbands that were their own color but had the cheetah print. It's cute.
No one can reach Toto, and we can't like I don't know, put one of those guards around his neck and pull him up. And for
Hmm.
I don't know why they don't explain this at all. But we can't get to Toto. We stopped. There's a huge traffic jam because they stopped traffic again. I don't know why. And they're like, you need to call him. He can't hear you. So they start singing one of their songs. And Toto comes. I'm sorry, this is just ridiculous. Toto hears the
Toto
sound
loves the
of the
Cheetah Girls,
Cheetah Girls.
apparently.
He's their biggest fan. And they're like, he's wiggling, he's wiggling, he's wiggling free. And then they're just like, we got him. And I'm like, where was he? He was what, 1 foot to the left? I don't understand. So we free Toto. Toto's happy now.
My
He's safe.
goodness.
He's perfectly fine. Like an ambulance checks on him. The girls are leaving.
They're
The
going to the
girls
talent show.
not Dorinda. They're going inside to go to the talent show. We'd already seen the boys rap, and they did really good. And then
Yeah.
does Galleria apologize? Like I don't think she apologized to her friends. She apologized
No,
to
well,
Drinka.
so Galleria thought everyone kind of hated her. And then when
Mm-hmm.
everyone comes and shows up for Toto, she, I think, just kind of inherently is like, oh, you do care. Like, you do love me. Like,
Right.
just
And so
kind of how
she
it goes.
goes to the girls. A boy, Galleria's love interest boy, plays the guitar so well. Why wasn't this his talent? And then we just start singing and dancing here in the middle of New York City, our choreographed
Yeah.
dance.
Where did the stage
Everybody's
come from? Where were the
where did the
lights?
stage come from? The camera crew
But
stays and films it, and it's on TV because
okay. So I want to talk about the camera work here. Because it's like that. I don't know what I think Boy Meets World actually they used it for transition in a couple of times where it's like a blurry like boom, boom, boom. I don't know how else to describe the camera work. Like it's blurry and like it's almost like it's slow motion,
Mm-hmm.
but they didn't turn up the camera speed enough.
Yeah.
So it's like skipping,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Um but incredible camera work that you really is just so indicative of the times. like
So
like we
the
did not use
zeitgeist,
it anywhere else.
yeah. And it flashes to Jackal Johnson and his two marketing people. He's sitting there, they're standing behind him. He has a glass of milk on the table in front of him and nothing else.
Incredible. Incredible.
Why is he sitting there drinking milk? I don't know, watching the
Strong bones and
news.
teeth, man.
Strong bones and teeth. Yeah, her mom said that earlier. Um, he's sitting there drinking milk, watching the TV, and he's like, "This, I missed out on this." Well, the Cheetah Girls are performing their music video on the 6 o'clock
Yeah,
news.
he's regretting that he told them that he wanted them to, wear their
The
animal.
firefighters become background dancers. I loved it.
Yeah.
The sweepers become
Well,
background dancers.
and the performance number is the titular song of Cheetah Girls. That's what they're performing here, isn't it?
What's its name? I don't remember what
It's
song it
Cheetah
was.
Girls.
Oh, it's Cheetah
Oh,
Girls.
Cheetah
Wasn't there?
Sisters, I guess.
Oh, Cheetah Sister. Yeah, we stand together. Yeah,
Together,
yeah, they're amazing. It's
we are
amazing. I mean,
one
I'm not.
big family, though we don't look the same. Our
Yeah,
spots are
diversity,
different.
different colors. Okay, I need to stop.
um, and that's it.
And that's it. That's the movie. We learn
That's the movie.
Dorinda turned down the tour so that she could hang out with the Cheetah Girls and be cheetahs this summer. Mistake, Dorinda. Well, your mom
Yeah.
shouldn't have let you go on tour, but you shouldn't have turned it
Oh,
down.
but a fun thing is that Dorinda's foster mom does show up, and there's like a cute
Mm-hmm.
moment where Galleria and Chanel's mom are like, "Oh,
We need
you're one
another
of the
cheetah
cheetah
mom.
moms," which is
It,
super cute and super
it
good
was.
and not normal experience for foster kids. So I just thought that that was like next
Yep.
level.
They magically
Um,
win the talent show, even though they didn't compete. They performed outside on the street.
yeah.
They pulled themselves from the talent show and they won. And but the boys are very happy for them, even though this means the boy lived. Oh, Galleria kisses her boy.
Hmm.
And then Jackal calls and tries to get them to come back, and they're very rude to him on the phone, which I agreed with, but also was like, this is a bad business move. He could probably get you blacklisted.
Yeah, they like pass the phone between the four of them and all say like mean things. Like
And he deserved them all. It was just a
he
bad
did.
business move.
Yeah, they um
And
so
that's the
that's
Cheetah
it.
Girls.
Um we talked about this a little bit with High School Musical, but Wikipedia says that this is Disney Channel's first musical.
Oh, see, this
But
is
we
so
discussed that it's
IMDb
not really a
facts.
musical
Right.
because it has a soundtrack, but the soundtrack is all like songs that they like they're
Right.
not narrating the movie at all
Right. Exactly. The
with the
opening
song.
song we're singing at a birthday party, and the songs, right, are not relevant to the situation.
Right.
Um, we're not singing about how much we miss Zac Efron, even though obviously that's something all of us do, like on the daily. And like, right, we sing for Jackal, we sing for our audition. We're singing now because Toto needs to hear it.
We're singing to rescue Toto.
And
Uh,
yeah,
I love
but
it.
it's you're right. It's not narrating it. So it's technically just a movie about a girl, not just a movie. It's a classic movie about a girl group and not a musical. But it was amazing and it was well received. So I'm surprised that this didn't make them think they could pull off a musical.
Well, they did. So the next Cheetah Girls is a musical, and then they did High School Musical.
Right, but according to the IMDb trivia, what really made them think they could pull off a musical was the musical episode of Even Stevens,
Oh,
mm-hmm.
interesting. Which came after this?
Which came after this.
Okay. It's interesting in my mind, like That's So Raven came after Even Stevens, but I guess they were on at the same time. Hmm.
It's
Interesting.
interesting what I think of when I think of the order of Disney movies, and then
Hmm.
looking back at the actual
Yeah, and
order,
actually seeing
things
them.
are a
Yeah,
little
Cheetah Girls came much earlier than I thought it did. With being the same year as Cadet Kelly.
right.
In
That
my
was
mind, Cadet Kelly was so much further before.
surprising to me.
So yeah, and so Camp Rock came out before High School Musical 3. We'll I'm sure get to all of that. I still haven't seen
Mm-hmm.
Lemonade Mouth,
And then
so
Descendants,
Descendants,
we're
which
gonna
is
have
it,
to.
it's
Oh,
it's on our calendar. Um,
Descendants, and we're gonna watch Lemonade Mouth.
you know,
Descendants. Obviously, we started watching Teen Beach Movie, so plenty of musicals and plenty of musical sequels
mm-hmm.
follow this. We
Right.
are just musical-licious. What I love a good musical, so I'm not hating. Obviously, High School Musical, 10 out of
I did
10.
too.
Ooh.
I saw Mean Girls last weekend. That's a musical.
Oh yeah, was it good?
No. The
Okay,
problem is that if you're gonna have a musical, you need to have some bops. You
and
need
they
to have
didn't
some
have bops.
song, no
Have you
bops.
seen comparisons of how they sing it on Broadway and how they sang it in the musical?
No.
You can look them up, and it's just, yeah, they really toned it down for the musical because, and it's the same thing with like Wonka. When they promoted Wonka, they didn't tell people it was a musical, so people
Right.
went into Wonka and they were like, "Why is this musical?" Because there's this idea that audiences won't pay to see a musical, which is like,
Interesting.
you know, what I mean, music. I've seen Les Mis in theaters. I've seen so many musicals. I realize I only named one, but there's this idea that audiences don't like musicals, so they won't go see them.
Interesting. Hmm.
Anywho, that was the Cheetah Girls.
Yeah.
It was great. It was a fun time. It's a little doesn't make any sense at the end, but we had to save Toto. I just thought it was so I remembered that, but watching it play out was just a little like
You know what? I just
it's a dog in a
remembered.
hole.
You
What?
said this came out August 2003.
Mm-hmm.
The Lizzie McGuire movie was May of 2003. So
Hmm.
the Lizzie McGuire movie, not a decom, it was in theaters. Um, that also ended kind of curiously. with her performing inside the Coliseum
with herself. Yeah.
with herself. So anyway, I don't know. Disney
I love a
maybe they
musical
didn't get
number.
the end the endings. They didn't.
I love a random musical number. I love a musical. I loved I'm Just Ken in Barbie.
Hmm. Yeah,
I that was my top played song on my Spotify Wrapped last year.
that's amazing.
And here's the really embarrassing part is I bought the Barbie soundtrack on CD and I
What?
have that in my
Your car has a CD player?
yeah, my car has a CD
Okay,
player.
mine does
So
not.
I have that in my car. So that's not even all the times I've listened to I'm Just Ken because I also listen to it on
On
CD.
Spotify. That's
Right.
ridiculous.
But it was
Yeah,
my top played song.
Barbie was good. All right,
So let's rate
so
Cheetah Girls.
well, I was gonna ask you first if you would like to rate the nostalgia factor.
Very nostalgic. I mean,
Me
Cheetah Girls,
too.
the outfits were all nostalgic and amazing. The camera work, the way that they were speaking, I mean, it was clearly a little nonsense, but just I don't know, felt nostalgic to me. And we saw crimped hair in the background before, and she looked
Yes.
so bananas. And I used to sit at night, and my mom would crimp my hair, very thick hair, for like 90 minutes. She would
Oh
spend
my
crimping my hair at
gosh.
night, and thank you, mom. Heavenly thank you to my mom because that took so much patience to sit and crimp my
Yeah,
hair all night long, so that I could have crimped hair at school the next day.
it's
And so
amazing.
super huge, I mean, 10 on the nostalgia factor for
Yeah,
me,
me
the
too.
Cheetah Girls.
Me too. The camera work really put it above and beyond for me. Um, for sure. But yeah, just the girl group pop number, all of that. How many Disney Wand IDs are we giving this one?
I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10.
Okay.
I had a super great time. The music's amazing. The acting's really good. Love that the parents were involved. You lost me when the dog fell in a hole.
Yeah, that was a little bit odd. You
Dog in a
know,
hole? That sounds bad.
the movie went really fast and didn't really have like a huge yeah, it felt like they like needed a climax, so they just threw Toto in a hole.
They threw
I'm
Toto in a
I'm
hole.
gonna give it a 7. I'm gonna give it a
Okay.
7. Glad I watched it. Probably won't be watching it again.
I will probably watch it again. Not maybe in a year. I would definitely
Okay.
watch it again. But I don't know, I might turn it off once Toto falls in a hole.
This
Be
is
like, you
gonna
need to sing louder for him, and they start singing like the lowest song that they have.
oh, so
Toto
good.
Toto needs us anyway. And Toto's fine, guys. It's okay. Can make fun of Toto for falling in a hole. He's fine.
He's fine. All right. So what are we watching next week?
Let It Shine.
I
I've
haven't seen that
never
one.
seen it. It's about a boy who raps and keeps it from his family.
Very fun. All right.
I'm excited.
So you can find us on our Substack. You can connect by email or go decom.substack.com. You can find us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify.
You
I'm
can follow
Cece.
us on Instagram at
Yeah,
orgodecom.
Kelsey's gonna start posting. I think it's
Yeah.
especially some of our outfits, right?
Yes, we're going to start rating outfits on there. That's why I said it in this episode, so I have to start posting.
Okay. So you can follow us on Instagram as well, or go decom, which also looks like or godcom.
Yeah, it's not god.com. It's their decoms. Just a coinky dink.
Just a coinky dink. All right, so I'm Cece Ciccone.
I'm Kelsey Bowman.
This has been Go Big or Go Decom. See you next week.
Bye.